So we're going to start now. And I'm so happy you're here. For those of you that are live on Facebook, we're figuring it out. We're making it up as we go along. Welcome to the Aliveness Revolution Podcast. This is episode 2 with myself and Charlie Garnham. And we're super, super stoked you're here today. My name is Val D'Ambrosio. I am an intuitive coach, counselor. I work with people on many, many different modalities of the 30 plus years that I've been doing what I'm doing in the world, and I love what I offer in the world as an astrologer, a lover of the body, and I really just essentially guide people to come back into themselves, to get out of their heads, to come back into their beautiful selves, to love themselves and to love their lives. So that's my shtick, and I love it. So Charlie.
Beautiful. I love that. So hi everybody, I'm Charlie Garnham, and my kind of whole remit, like what I do, what I love is human design first and foremost. I've just celebrated my 6-year anniversary of like being in the wonderful, beautiful world of human design and the deconditioning journey, which is fantastic. And what I actually do with human design, not only do I do the whole, readings and everything like that, but I actually help, spiritual visionaries to really step up their game in business and in life as well. But usually I work with entrepreneurs, and I really help them to magnetize new clients and magnetize, new opportunities to themselves and to their business through frequency and through aura and through magnetism, using their human design to come back to your true self. And I am a business mentor, but I don't really use, kind of like templates or tools or, anything like that. There's no you should do this, you should do that. Everything is frequency and magnetism through the beautiful, wonderful world of human design. So yeah, that's me. So Val, we are talking about, resistance to aliveness today. And how should we start the conversation? Because as you guys know, this is actually just me and Val just having a conversation. It's nothing like prepared, really.
Well, the way that I look at it is our first conversation was around why did we call it the Aliveness Revolutionary Podcast, right? And so that's it. It's like what becoming alive is for us. And now we want to go, okay, so we've talked about becoming alive and what that might look like for us. And we invite you to go back and listen to that because it's useful. It's really, we start to ignite and awaken these parts of ourselves that maybe have been dormant for a long time. And we start to realize maybe certain things we're doing and certain identities we have or certain beliefs and behaviors we have no longer in alignment with who we are now. And it's almost like going from one chapter of our life into another. And that bridge between the two is a very unknown bridge. It's really exciting because there's like aliveness feels good. It's like play and joy and life, right? And then also, because also we're becoming aware of what we prefer. And also with that, because light and shadow exists in everything, we live in a dualistic world, there's also resistance to the aliveness. So we're going to talk about resistance, why resistance shows up, what we can do when we'll talk about a little bit about uncertainty and certainty. We'll talk about what we can do when there's too much uncertainty and how to support ourselves when we're in this space of resistance and what that might feel like. And then we're going to also bring in just some of our ideas about how we've learned, how we are in that place of what we're calling the void, the gap, the bridge of the old version to the new, of ways that we can do that in a way that we're supporting ourselves, we're taking care of ourselves. So that's what the flow of today is going to be. And so the conversation, let's just start the conversation, Char, up with, resistance to that aliveness, right? So like when we talk about why would we become resistant?
It's the unknown, always, like I think for me, I've definitely been through a change and especially in my business as well, becoming a human design reader, but then also like, should I put business into it? Should I put marketing into it and all this sort of stuff? It's like, I have this desire, I have this, true belief that I want to do this and I want to do that. And we have this beautiful like goal and intention setting. And you think, oh wow, like I really want to do that, but then sometimes the unknown of like what is going to happen, that actually sometimes can shut things off and like move things backwards just a little bit. Because even though on a great day your body might be like so excited, yes, I'm going to do this, fantastic, and you might have other people around you doing that as well, like cheering you on, you'll always have the deep dark, what the heck am I doing, like can I really do this? I really am not sure that I can do this. And it is in that unknown kind of piece there of, should I just stay here? Should I just stay doing my little, this thing over here? Or should I do that leap? Because we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
What comes up for you when I say that?
Well, when I think about resistance, I think it's just a natural, whoa, it is coming down out here. So hopefully if it gets loud, let me know, Char, because I'll shut it down. So what comes up to for resistance is, first of all, I think it's just a natural part of the process. It's almost like sometimes just expecting that there's going to be resistance is really useful. And the why there is resistance is, I agree with you. It's a void. It's an unknown. And when all of a sudden, even though there's an excitement, it's almost like we're in a dark room looking for the light switch. We don't really have the path yet. We don't really know. We don't have our footing quite yet. And so it feels really destabilizing. It feels super, super uncomfortable emotionally, even physically in our bodies sometimes. And I think that especially it's useful. One of the tools that I use, I learned it when I was in my early 20s. It's a tool from Tony Robbins that I picked up, and I use it all the time. And it's that understanding that uncertainty and uncertainty are two human needs. And so uncertainty is variety, it's change, it's surprise. And certainty is known. It's what creates safety. And we will either find these two things in our lives, right? Because if things are always uncertain, it's going to be totally destabilizing. If things are always certain, it's boring, right? And so finding things that are useful in the things that are positive vehicles, negative vehicles, or neutral vehicles. And so sometimes in the void, because it's already so unknown and we're stepping into this new way of being, we can feel like the bottom fell out. So it's really important to understand that not only is that a part of the process, it's also in discovery of who are we being in the uncertainty, And I think that sometimes for myself is that in the becoming of the unknown, even though I know where I want to go, I have an idea about what I want to do, it's lighting me up in so many ways. It inevitably also means that I'm also going to meet parts of myself that don't quite believe that they actually get to have that. If I've been living and existing for an extended period of time in a certain way of being, I don't get to have that. I don't get to be that person that has, I grew up in an environment where I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere, in my community, in my family, nothing. And so all of a sudden, what I did is I started to just go through life choosing environments where that was more very common theme, because it was just, that was my story, that was my identity. And as I started to change that and go, actually, first of all, it starts within becoming, belonging to myself and realizing I get to not only take up space, but I'm worth my time, I'm worth my energy, and then learning to surround myself with people and environments where I feel like I belong. It's going to rock my nervous system a little bit. It has. Let me just put it that way. It has. So learning and then tending to those parts of me in the becoming is essential. Yeah?
Yeah, and I just really love that sort of almost like a visual knowing of the certainty and the uncertainty with that tool that you just shared from Tony Robbins. You guys, Val told me that she was going to share this before we jumped on, and I was like, oh, I want to know what that is. And it's a very, for me, that would be a very visual tool. It's this part of my life is uncertain, and actually in the uncertainty there's a little bit of aliveness, there's a little bit of fun, a little bit of levity, surrender to what could potentially happen. But then sometimes in the uncertainty there's worry or doubt or yeah, just something else that comes in. And like you say, certainty can actually be a little bit boring. You know, like you and I, Val, we were talking the other day, weren't we? And we were like, yeah, I got to a place where even my morning routine, when I tried to like, mix it up a little bit, I was just so bored, just so bored. And that just has just clicked for me of why, 2025, I was feeding this boredom and this, dullness in my body. And I'm feeling so much better now because of that certainty that I had. And I just love being, uncertain now in some aspects of my life. And it's great.
Well, what I
Wonderful.
love about that too is like there's it's all useful information. The boredom, if you will, the feeling a little bit flat, it's useful information, and what are we going to do with that information, right? Because it's like, okay, so something I'm craving something more, I'm preferring something more, and staying conscious in that exploration instead of all of a sudden, you hear this a lot, or maybe you have, I don't know, is that, the midlife crisis are the things when people will just go and buy the car, the Porsche,
Yeah.
or go have the affair. And it's not, none of that's a problem. None of it. It's a matter of that. Are we doing it consciously? Are we aware of the why we're doing it? What is that information maybe telling us, right? And so first, I think what's useful is to go, okay, what can we, when there's too much uncertainty, how might that show up, right? What comes to mind for me is that when there's too much, this is what I see in my own life, I see in my clients, I've experienced over, my career and just watching people in general. So it's easier to stay where we're familiar, right? That's what we're just talking about. It's easier. Why? Because it's known, it's certain, right? Instead of everything just like ruffling all the feathers and things changing so much in our life, it's like if we stay the same, at least we're accepted. People, it's like accepted by our community, our family. There's less pushback. We also might show up when there's a lot of uncertainty where we're fighting and we're forcing and we're pushing and we're trying to make things happen.
Things to do.
Yeah, like that was easy for me. That was so familiar for me. It's like, I got to do more. I got to push, and at one point it's like, things have to change. Things have to change. And then on the other side, I'd be like just doing exactly what I've always done, but forcing it now, and I'm like, okay, hold on a second. That's not working. I'm saying I want to do this thing. I want to, make this change in my life. And now I'm just actually just pushing. So I'm just doing what I've always done. I'm just kind of like pouring pink paint over it and calling it dessert, but it's really just the same thing. And then the other thing too is I think that we can also start to become a victim to the circumstances, and that victim mentality, it may be, maybe, I don't know, very, very familiar, where it just feels like more, again, safe to be in that place of like, oh, well, woe is me, So I don't know, like what comes to mind around that, or does anything else come to mind for you, Char?
Yeah, I mean, I love the victim side of things actually, because, like when we have these thought patterns in our heads and, they come up since childhood, most likely, but then they start coming up in adulthood and you start repeating them. I think it's so important to look at that in that sort of conscious lens and really sort of think, is that true? Because it's likely not true. It's like when we say fear is actually false evidence appearing real. It's not really, fear. And it's the same with being the victim if there's like too much uncertainty. And the other thing that comes to mind for me as well is, I know that you personally, Val, you created 2 new wonderful offers, but you have done it from this really certain, grounded place rather than from that desperation, and I just love that, because sometimes we do get in our heads about like, I need to do this, I should do this, whatever the ego mind is saying. But especially in business, it's so important not to push and force and just go, oh, well, I'll just put this out and hope that somebody bites. It's frequency that will land you those beautiful clients, customers, sales, etc. And as soon as you do that from your beautiful, wonderful aligned frequency, then nothing can go wrong. And it is certain.
I love that you're talking about that, actually, because that's really beautiful, right? And I think that you can bring this into business. You can also bring this to other aspects of life, and thank you for that. Thank you for that acknowledgement, because I've created enough in my career to see that I have tremendous capacity. Like I've done a lot. I'm an experimenter. I'm a 3-5 in human design, if you know that. I literally will throw shit against the wall. My whole life, I've been looked at as if I'm a failure. And I've been put down for it because it's like, oh, you made a mistake. And I'm like, listen, even one time, I remember I was living in Steamboat and I was like, I'm craving something. I don't know. What is it? I think I want to be back in a city. And I packed up everything and I moved back to Chicago because that's where I was like, yeah, Chicago, I felt so alive. I lasted a month. I turned around and went back. And my friends, and like so many people were like, oh, you failed. I'm like, oh my God, I did not fail. I would not have known unless I did that. And that is the piece, like this piece of when we start to follow the impulse of what starts to feel good and what makes us feel alive, it's gonna probably, at least my experience and when I see other people, look a little messy because we don't know, again, the path is not paved yet. And what I love, thank you for acknowledging, is that in the past, in the tremendous amount of uncertainty and feeling like my world's kind of crumbling in many ways, and maybe because I'm shifting my career in one way, my income's not coming in that way that I used to be very certain about, or maybe my daily schedule was very set, and all of a sudden everything's changing, and maybe the way that I'm creating is different, and the way that I'm collaborating is different. I know now, when I choose to work with people, when I choose to launch something, when I choose to, I really, really check in with, does this really make me feel alive? Does it ignite me? I wouldn't have known that in the past. I didn't know what that was. I was just hardwired and doing what was familiar, which created an amount of certainty, and it was driven from a place of having to prove or finally be good enough or seen or this will get me to this certain place, and that changes, and that's not it's not a comfortable place. And the other thing is that yes, we know that we are the frequency, right? And that eventually that I will magnetize that to me, yet it's not a switch that you flip. It's a becoming. So it's becoming the woman that knows she's worthy of that. It's sitting with when those thoughts come in that are going, I don't know, Val, you should probably bail. You should probably walk away. You should probably not do this. And it's staying anyway and staying committed to that in the moment. Now, the thing is that this is what I love about our relationship and relationships in my life that I've chosen to support me in this discomfort, in the becoming, so that when I bump up against the wall, let's talk about that, Char. When there is resistance, what are some things that you do that come to mind that allow you to come back and feel more stable within your own self and find healthy vehicles of certainty so you can be in the uncertainty and you feel good about it?
Yeah, I mean, great question, because I think like you, I've had many times where I wanted that big thing, wanted that desire, wanted to go big because I've been told, you're amazing, Charlie, you're a leader, you can do this, you can do that. And I kind of you get yourself into a position of yes, I can do this. But then the ego mind creeps in all the time, should I be doing that? Should I be doing this? And then you end up
Your ego mind does?
Yeah, the ego mind, And the main thing for me that helps me to be able to, I guess, overcome this and to sort of carry on and reach for those goals and those desires is definitely who you spend your time around. And I will say this till, the day I die, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. Absolutely. So if you have somebody in your life who is negative, maybe, who does bring you down or bring themselves down sometimes, it doesn't even have to be you. It's not going to help you to get there to where you need to go. So community, the people that you choose, everybody who is in your life that you want to talk to, they're going to be the people that are providing that wall or that rock or that support in some way. And it will be an energetic support. It will be a physical support sometimes, literally hugging that person that's going to be, lifting you up. Emotional, spiritual, whatever it is. And I think personally that that is the key. And you and I met actually through a community, and look at us, like look where we are now in our careers. So do you want to add to that?
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. And even that, I just want to say again, if you're used to being around people that have negated you, misunderstood you, didn't, even that in allowing yourself, or maybe you've done it all your own and on your own, and getting support is not something you're familiar with, even that understanding, because it's an unwiring of a process. We're really unwiring certain beliefs, certain patterns, certain ways of being, certain, all these being, right? And so I think like a huge thing that is useful, that is for me, is first, remembering, just knowing that this is a part of the process. No one's void from it. The discomfort is not, it's a part of the process. It's a contrast. It's rubbing up and against certain things that are important to look at, to shift, to understand, to dive a little deeper into. So whatever meaning we give is what it becomes. Whatever we give meaning to for anything is what it becomes. So if we all of a sudden label this rub as a problem, we're going to experience more of that, more problems. We're going to see that. We're going to turn on our reticular activating system. We're going to see more problems. We're going to experience more problems. So a shift of perspective is huge. And a shift of perspective that's useful is not only knowing this is part of the process, this is not a problem, it's also information. This is information for me. I'm collecting data. Oh, I'm seeing, my body's resisting. Oh, I'm realizing I'm not really enjoying that conversation. Oh, I'm realizing that I don't really feel super supported and safe. And we start to really let ourselves and allow ourselves to be in that exploration and that discovery process from a more compassionate place. I feel like that's really, really useful. And I love too what you were saying about, surrounding yourself with people. And I think I want to add to that, surrounding, like for me, it's the environments that I also go into. I want to bring myself, especially if I'm like, I was laid out for like 7 days. And I did a lot of deep it was beautiful. I ended up having like an unknown staycation. And I was like, even though it was super uncomfortable in every single way, it was so beautiful. And I got so much from it. And I went deep and I nourished parts of myself and saw parts of myself that I just hadn't seen. It was so beautiful. And I realized, like, when I was ready to come out in the world and I had energy, I was like, I want to be tender with myself. I want to be very conscious around the environments that I put myself in, the people that I surround myself with. So I took myself out deliberately only to places that I know that I feel comfortable and safe. In those moments, I don't want to put myself in so many places and environments that are going to make my nervous system be like, and just so you guys know, that's how I lived. If you know astrology, I'm all mutable and all cardinal energy. I'm literally that energy that's always, I'm an in the moment person. And that said, being in the change, I moved every year. I was constantly on the go. For my whole life up until not that long ago. And so now it's seeing like I don't have to, it's also okay to experience and to be, and part of the aliveness is realizing like I like still, I like slow, I like taking time, I like comfort and nourishment and all these things that I was moving too fast to allow it in.
Yeah, I love that. Like stillness is obviously going to be like a really big part of this. And, there's so many people, unfortunately, in this day and age, and, our audience might not resonate with this actually, but there's so many people who cannot be silent or be on there by themselves because they're so afraid of what is going to come up. They're so afraid of like what is going to be said in their own minds that they have to feel the silence and they have to be, with someone. And as a projector in human design, this is like my worst nightmare, So I have learned that, I can be in silence and I can be alone. And it's actually a really beautiful thing. And it's not always to do with introversion and extroversion, if you identify with either one of those two either. It is the becoming into yourself that really allows you to know yourself even more, even deeper. And it allows something to unfold. Like I always think of you, I always think of myself, and you can take this as well. There's like a lotus flower or like a bud or something like this inside you. But when you allow all these beautiful things that we're talking about today, the stillness, the silence, the aliveness, the community maybe as well, like on the opposite side of things, this bud inside you can just start to unfurl and it starts to just beautifully, shine out. So
That's what you're
random
talking about. No,
analogy.
it's not. It's beautiful, and it makes a lot of sense to me because, when I started meditating years ago in my early 20s, I resisted it at first. And it
Oh
was
yeah.
because it was me and me. I was alone with my thoughts, and and my body, and it was, I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to, and so I just was like, oh, I don't like meditating, or it's too hard, and
That
but yet I
is
knew,
so many people.
right? Totally. And I kept
Yeah.
going back to it because I was just like, I know this is something, there's something here. And I think that, and I loved when Dr. Joe, I'm a huge student of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and when he talks about, meditation is becoming aware of. So when we sit and we become aware of, again, without labeling it, whatever meaning we give is what it becomes, and we recognize it and see it almost like we're witnessing this other part of ourselves, then we can actually sit with that. And it's like, and we've talked about this before, but it's like, who am I being when no one's looking, right? That's what the most important thing to me. When I'm in my home, what are those reoccurring thoughts that are happening? What am I doing? And so sitting in the stillness, when we've turned off everything, we're not, we don't have any external things, no fixes, no things like that, nothing. And it's just, it's me and me. It's like, we've got to sit with what's showing up. And that's not always comfortable. Yet the more that we learn and we practice and we get familiar meeting those parts of ourselves with and pouring in an energy of kindness, of witnessing, of rather than judging, of compassion rather than criticism. And we start to show it and redirect it to this new way of being. And we have this, like we were talking about, this supportive environment, supportive people, supportive tools. Like for me, it's music, it's nature, it's all these things. And we incorporate the stillness within it. I feel like that's going to support the becoming process, and permission to also understand this is not a one and done. It's not a switch you flip. It is a daily occurring thing. And we were talking about it too, is that, sometimes, and we may have already said this, but I just want to say it again, some days it's like, everything's flowing, and then some days it's like, and for me, I know one of my medicines is that I have a lot of Gemini. I need a mirror. And the reflection that I was getting when I was younger was I was broken. Something's wrong. And so what did I do? I believed it. Well, now I know, because I have love for myself and I have greater discernment and I take care of myself in that kind of way, and I know the kind of energies I want to be around, that mirroring in those moments, in the becoming, is so extraordinarily useful. I know that I can go to Charlie on those days and go, can you help me remember how awesome I am? Because right now today, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not seeing it. I can't grasp it. It's like looking into a foggy mirror.
Yeah, and what better way to ask a projector, like invite a projector in, because I will just mirror right back at you. And yeah, that's a really good point as well. Like there's so many things that you can do if you are in the not very good feeling, in the void, in that gap in between, who you were and like who you want to be, who you are becoming. And it is things like mirror work, which, I'd love actually for you to explain as well, Val, just so that, people understand what that is. But, talking community, but then the silence and the nature and the walking, there's so many things. But do you want to just briefly talk about mirror work and what you do personally,
Yeah,
Val?
sure. And I'm just honoring time. That said, I do think it's of value. So for me, mirror talk is right. When we're out in the world, we can't see ourselves, right? We're being reflected by everyone else. And so especially being 52, aging, my body changing, all those things, and it's amazing to me when I'm in a women's bathroom. It's just like, wow. When I look at most women looking in the mirror, they're not very kind. You know, it's just
No.
more common to be unkind. And so I have a rule with myself. Like, I'm like, you know, whenever I look in the mirror, I always want to just, even if it's like, the thoughts come in like, before I walk away, I'm like, I love you. You're beautiful. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right. Hold on a second. I love you. You're beautiful. Like, I love you. And then I smile because so
Yes.
it's like, I want to get to know the woman that I'm seeing in the mirror, so I can in her smile, in her movement, in her sexiness, in her fluidity, in her softness, in the way, you know, I want to connect with her. And when I connect with her, I'm a very visual person. I'm a very kinesthetic and visual person. When I see her, I feel like I can fall more deeply in love with her. And it's not because she looks a certain way. That's not what I'm shooting for. It's that whatever she's looking, whether it's you know, I was telling Charlie before we got on the phone, I was like, the Zoom, I was like, I have these, since I've been sick, I'm like, I'm noticing my lymph drain is clogged, and I get puffy, and that's one of the things that it shows me inflammation. I don't love it. It's not something I'm comfortable with. I want to be able to look in the mirror and love myself with that. I want to love myself in any iteration. So it's a tool that helps me to love myself, and I think it's extraordinarily valuable and useful.
Yeah, I love that. I've started doing a little bit of mirror work recently, actually, and I was like really surprised because I was like, I just said to myself one day, "You're beautiful, Charlie." Wow. And then you go out in the world, and you're like, "I'm beautiful," you know.
Yeah, you get to
And
be.
how many times do we say to ourselves, "You're beautiful"? Not much. You do,
Yeah.
obviously. I do
Well,
now.
right. Well, and that's the thing. And then if we're not feeling beautiful, when I say beautiful, I'm not only talking about the outside, right? Obviously, there's something there on the inside. If we don't feel that, and then someone, and this would happen all the time with my ex. He'd be like, "You're so beautiful." And I wouldn't receive it. I couldn't receive it
Yeah,
because I
me
didn't
too.
see it in myself. And so
Mhm.
how unfortunate. They're literally giving a gift and we're deflecting it, we're negating it, we're rejecting it because a part of us isn't accepting it. And so again, if we're out in the world and we're being seen, I want to make sure that I'm seen, and I love what I'm seeing, right? I love what I'm seeing. Because they're gonna, you know, I live in an amazing place where there are people from all over the world here. So many different cultures in Playa del Carmen.
Yeah.
So many. And what's in, what's not, what's cool, what's not, who knows, right? So everybody, it's art, it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? And it's like, so I just want to be the most authentic expression of myself, to love what I see and feel and experience within my own self. So when I walk through the earth, then I can actually walk through, and I can not only think I look beautiful, I feel beautiful. Okay, well, if I'm feeling a feeling like beauty, like of value, like of worth, that frequency, that's out there in the world. So now all of a sudden, if we've been living in a state of not really seeing our beauty, not really knowing, and we're building this, and we're becoming more alive of going, you know what, I want that, I experience that, and we practice it, we then take her out or him out in the world to live it more. And that's the becoming, because again, we're not used to it.
Yeah, completely. And all of this is just going against societal norms as well, which, you know, you and I both know we're both extremely passionate about coming away from the conditioning and just being our true selves. And I think at some point we will be doing a podcast episode on knowing your manual through you know, tools like astrology and human design, and how we also, Val, have been able to really have a very beautiful relationship because we know each other, but we also know ourselves as well. We know when to set boundaries. We know everything really through astrology and
Yeah.
human design.
Gosh, I'm
Yeah,
so excited to do Knowing Your Manual. I think it's such a
yeah,
useful tool. Such a useful tool.
yeah,
Oh, I love
absolutely.
this conversation. Well,
Yeah,
you guys, you know,
best.
just wrapping up on time. This is so good. Do you feel complete, Char, if we wrap up?
Yeah, I would love to give everybody some questions to, you know, kind of like think about as well. Do you want to do
Yeah.
those?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just curious, you know, we would love for you to share in the comments, you know, what comes to mind through this conversation that you maybe it shined a light a little bit on yourself. Maybe it's around how you be in uncertainty, who you be in uncertainty. Maybe it's around how you be when it comes to spending time with yourself, and what kinds of things that you're offering yourself in the moments where you feel the rub of the becoming and your ground feels really unsteady, or that feeling of walking around a dark room looking for the light switch and not really knowing where it is, you know? And so we'd love to just hear from you. And I feel like this is a great introduction. We are launching something on July 22nd, and it goes July 23rd, 24th, and it is an extraordinary experience. Do you want to tell them a little bit about that, Char?
Yeah, I can't wait, actually. And I know that you'll be able to help me a little bit with this. This is our human design, just, you know, helping each other out 100%. With things. So the next chapter is a 3-day live experience that you get to be in the room with myself and Val. And you know what we actually realized the other day? That Val and I are going through exactly the same thing as what we are going to be teaching within the next chapter. And that is, we are both really on the edge. We're kind of on that bridge in between the old identity, the one that, you know, got us through everything so far, was really successful, but we're now really sort of like coming out into this huge transformational sort of like desired goal and intention that we're both doing separately and together. And this uncomfortableness that we're feeling, that we've been talking about today, we are going to help you to step out of that. We're going to help you to, you know, really embrace that new identity, to grieve the identity that you've left behind. And we're going to actually really solidify it as well with potential blocks that might come up along the journey. And like I said, Val and I, we are going through this right now ourselves, and we are going to help you to go through it with us as well. Anything you want to add?
Well, what I love about that is that, you know, this is a space to come to, not to get the answers in the sense of we're going to give you the answers. No, that's not what this is. This is a space to come and discover your own answers. And and this is the beauty of going, you know what, I'm worthy of this time to really sit with and sift through and recognize that there are preferences that I now have become aware of that I want in my life. This is where I want to move toward in my life. This is what I want more of, or this thing isn't working and I'm ready for something new, and I'm realizing that I'm not really, I keep saying I want to do it, I keep saying I want to shift this, and I'm not really doing it. This is the place to come to be able to have that support, to feel held, to be offered. We're going to be taking you through, you know, looking at certain things, and it's space and time for you.
For you and you only, yeah.
Through and really, really, really get clear about what might be holding you back, about what you want, about how far you've come, and about the steps or the actions or the ideas that are ready to be seen, to be moved on, that you are then going to walk away with. That's what this is, and it's so exciting. It's so exciting because when you have my experiences, when I have I don't want to project on you guys. My experiences, when I have that support and I have that safe container and I have that place to go to actually sift through and work on things, I'm more likely going to hit my target. I'm going to, and not only that, I'm also going to enjoy the process so much more. I did it alone for a very long time, and it was not comfortable, and I did it in the hardest way possible. And that's what we want to show you, and that's my line 5. It's like we want to show you and role model to you and go, it doesn't have to be a suffer fest, pain inevitable, suffering optional. You don't have to do this alone. Here's a safe place for you to come to and to be able to be held as you do this work, so you can really, really, really have what you want. You can move in it. You can have that preferred life.
Beautiful. Yeah, very, very well put. So come and join us. The early bird pricing is $111 USD until the 19th of July, and then it goes up to 222. So come and join us. It's going to be incredible. And, you know, just like, subscribe, follow, get on our email list, because, you know, this isn't it. Like Val and I, we are here. We're going to be working with you guys. It is going to be amazing, and we can't wait to see more of you.
Yes, check the reg link, sign up. We'll see you there. We're super excited. And thank you so much for your time, Charlie. I love playing with you. I'm so excited,
I
and I'm
know,
so
so
grateful.
much
So,
fun. Yeah.
yay! See you
Well,
guys
thank you,
soon.
everybody.
Yeah.
See you soon.